Did you know that every wedding produces around 400 to 600 pounds of waste and emits an average of 60 tons of CO2? I didn't know that, and I Googled it because I was just curious, and I found this across a few different sites. I'm sure there were studies done. Food waste, just general trash that comes from events and weddings, as well as all the flights people take, transportation, shipping, etc. I'm not super surprised that that is the case. Earth Day is coming up in just a few days on April 22nd, and I had this idea to just touch a little bit on sustainability and weddings. It is a topic that's on the mind of a lot of couples and planners and vendors as well. A little bit about Earth Day because I didn't really know much about it. It was established in 1970, and there was a junior senator from Wisconsin named Gaylord Nelson who was just really growing increasingly concerned about the environment and how it was deteriorating. He was able to partner with Senator Pete McCloskey from California to co-chair an initiative and raise public awareness about air and water pollution. They recruited a young activist named Dennis Hayes to organize activities across college campuses. They were really interested in writing the energy of the anti-war movement in the late 60s, wanted to really engage students as much as possible. So the reason they chose April 22nd is because it's a day that falls between spring break and final exams. This initiative partnered with a wide array of organizations across the country, and apparently 20 million people came out to demonstrate against the impacts of over 100 years of industrial development. And of course, sustainability, being green, being eco-friendly is a really hot topic, and not for no reason, because of climate change and just changes to our environment that are really impacting our everyday lives. I am not an expert in this topic by any means, but I was really curious about it because Earth Day is coming up, and I did want to talk about it because it's a topic that comes up with a lot of my clients and just people in general. When you start thinking about these things, it feels almost impossible, and it gets really overwhelming to think that you can't really make a difference. But I did come across this quote in doing some research for this video. It was a quote from a woman named Anne Marie Bonneau. I'm not sure how to say her last name. She is an award-winning cookbook author and speaker. Her Instagram handle is @ZeroWasteChef. And she said, "We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly." And that really resonated with me because that made me think that even the small actions that we take will help the environment, especially if all of us are doing these little actions together. Obviously, can't solve this environmental issue in one video, but I did want to just talk about a few things that I've noticed throughout the years of planning different events and weddings, just things I've talked about with clients, and just ways that you can be a little bit more eco-friendly if that's something that is important to you. The first thing is paper. That's a pretty obvious one because we use a lot of paper that's just single use, especially on the day of. And that's really a way that you can save on printing, and it helps with budget as well. Invitations, obviously individual invitations get sent out in the mail, and that adds to carbon emissions. So if paper invites are not important to you, then you don't need to do it. Plenty of people do digital invites nowadays. There are really beautiful digital invites that you can use, that you can customize. You can even do video invites. So there's definitely options for that. Even day of paper, a lot of people these days have really opted out of a paper ceremony program because that's just something that's used for 20 minutes by the guest, and then it just gets tossed or left on the floor or whatever to be cleaned up. Many of my clients have had digital programs, so you have a QR code in one frame, a sign that you can put up, and that way guests still know what's going on, and you can add additional information to the program, but you're not printing 100 plus pieces of paper. Menus are another thing, especially if you're doing family style. You can have the menu be displayed kind of like a table number, or I've done double-sided table numbers and menus, just a few per table, so that everyone knows what they're eating. I've seen people do big boards, like a poster board or a foam core board on an easel as people are walking in, or even if you want to do a hanging sign as people are walking in so they know what they're going to eat. On the topic of things that tend to get thrown away or left behind, menus and programs, as I mentioned, but also favors. A lot of times get left behind because people might be traveling, they don't want to take it, they forget, they leave it on the table, and I really give everything back to the couple or the couple's family to take home. Sometimes it's something you can eat, like a macaron or a dessert or whatnot. But a lot of times those get left behind too, and we try to give it away to vendors or staff or whatever, but sometimes it just gets thrown away because it's not going to be edible the next day. One way, if you do want to have favors, is to not have the full guest count available, and it's just for people who want to take it, or you don't really have to do one at all. And I've had couples donate instead of doing a favor, instead of spending money on that favor, donate money to an organization or a charity of their choice and let the attendees know, let the guests know that a donation was made in their name. Obviously, for destination weddings, welcome bags are really popular, and you do want to give something to your guests, but a lot of times welcome bags become throwaway items, and unless it's something you feel like is going to be really functional for the guests, that's just something that I would think about, especially with a lot of single-use items. One of the things about sustainability, and even when you think about sustainable fashion, for instance, is thinking about the longevity of an item, right? So whenever you buy a good quality item, even if it's secondhand, you're extending the life of that item, meaning less things have to be created for you to purchase, right? So in that regard, if you're renting an item versus purchasing it, you're reusing something, extending the life of that item. You're not going to be purchasing something that you're not sure what to do with after. I encourage people to always rent or even borrow. I also have some rentals that I carry for my clients that they can use. If they rent versus buying from Amazon, throwing it away after, or not knowing what to do with it, renting is definitely more eco-friendly. Now, it gets a little bit tricky because with things like glassware, sometimes I do advise clients if they want to save on certain things like glassware they can save on, they can get disposable glassware. Obviously, that is adding to waste. If you have a budget, I completely understand. You can't just spend more money for the sake of being eco-friendly for your wedding, but there's definitely other decisions that you can make if that is of importance to you. Even if you do purchase something, let's say on Amazon, maybe purchasing it as far in advance as possible so you can choose that delivery day where they're using less vehicles or things like that, so you can do no rush shipping so that you can get the item with other items that are coming to your building or to your area or whatnot. So that's a way that you can do it, plan far ahead in advance so that you can use one of those eco-friendly shipping days. Another thing you can do when you purchase items is resell it to someone locally so that you can get rid of it, but also you're not just throwing it in the trash and you're allowing someone else to extend the life of that item. Florals is a hard one because I love flowers and I love working with floral designers. I think it really elevates the design of a wedding, even in its most simple form. But a lot of times it really breaks my heart when flowers just get thrown away. So one way to repurpose them is perhaps find another event to donate it to. Maybe it's a charity or a school, or maybe it's to a nursing home, to a hospital. There's ways you can donate. Of course, there may be a fee that comes with it. Like if the florist takes it for you and then has to transport it to somewhere else, there may be a little bit of a fee, but maybe it's worth looking into if you really don't want to toss 20 arrangements or just have it go to waste. You can also have guests take the flowers home so that they can enjoy it for another week, and at least it can be enjoyed by someone else for a longer period of time. I've had a vendor who does composting, so they took all of the flowers back to their farm and they composted everything, which is amazing. And I think that's really great of them and noble of them to have this option as part of their package. Of course, again, there is a little bit of a charge, but if budget isn't super tight, this might be something that you might be wanting to talk to your florist about. I have a client whose wedding is coming up. She's using real flowers for her table center pieces. For her altar arrangement, she is doing a setup of a flower tower, but it's going to be silk flowers. And obviously those can definitely be reused. And I think it also is helping her save on budget as well. So that's another option. I have been finding silk flower vendors where you can rent from them and they'll mail everything to you. And all you have to do is have someone set it up. But of course, there's shipping and all of that involved, but maybe if they're local, then that would obviously be a great way to be eco-friendly when it comes to florals. Lastly, sourcing locally as much as possible is probably just something to think about. Even flowers, a lot of flowers are ordered from other countries, etc., because of things that are in season locally. So maybe if you just have a color palette or general style, you can ask your florist, hey, I really want to source local flowers from local farms versus getting them shipped from all over the world, like New Zealand and Holland, etc., and you're okay with it, then that's something that you can also tell them. Same with your caterer. If you're looking for someone who does not farm to table necessarily, but sources locally versus shipping in things from all over the United States or the world, then that's a step you can take toward having a more sustainable or eco-friendly wedding. Now, obviously, I'm not going to stop planning weddings. Of course, weddings are celebrations that are always going to be had. Events are great ways for people to come together and connect. But I think we would be remiss as planners if we weren't thinking about eco-friendly practices and sustainability in general, just because of the amount of waste every event produces. We obviously, like I said, can't solve the issue with one video or just one person, but I think if it's important to you at all, and if you are thinking about the environment at all, then these are just some things that you can think about that can help you make decisions more easily. Maybe you know you want to go with a caterer who is sourcing locally. You know you're gonna do silk flowers. It might help you sway your decisions one way or the other. That'll just be one less decision you have to think about for weeks or months. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy the one that I created about floral design. It's called Floral Design 101, just giving you a little bit of a glimpse into the process of finding the right floral design vendor for you. If you found this video helpful, your support would be really appreciated. If you want to subscribe to my channel for more wedding planning tips, perspective, some venue reviews coming up, all of the good things. Thank you for watching and happy planning. See you in the next one.